But critically, that was a big turn of events for Hiya. He was able to, first of all, stop production altogether at that natural expansion. He hasn't lost position on his natural expansion yet, so he's not in a bad map position yet. He has lost 2 siege tanks, but I think he's made up for it more or less in SCV kills, although I think that might have flipped around right there. And interestingly enough, Forgg landing his own... never mind, that's opposite barracks right there. But it looks like Forgg is going to get right back in this by killing SCV that are kind of floating out there, and he's going to be able to enact the damage just by the Wraith that are by the SCVs that are wandering out there to try to repair tanks with Wraith. So it looks like Forgg going to give up on trying to do that isolation position maneuver, and instead just going to be happy to get SCV kills and completely drain that already very thin natural expansion. Single Marine produced to try to harass and not long for life. And once again, the tank's going to swing out here and get picked away at. Shouldn't be too long before we see a couple Goliaths, and already 11 kills on that Wraith, which is a significant amount of damage compared to whatever those Vultures got. So once again, Hiya finds himself a bit behind. There's the Goliaths now able to take out one Wraith, so it's at least a decent bit of revenge. But critically at this stage, right now, you can see that Forgg can take an additional expansion, stay one base ahead, and Hiya is still in a very defensive position. Nice ninja comsat there, sensing the position and comsatting just as siege tanks were moving in, and able to pick off one. He's going to be able to actually pick off a couple siege tanks here and there, despite kind of comsatting in the dark, not really having any other indication. But very nice kind of, I would say, game sense right there to comsat right when he did, and just nailing some siege tanks and really kind of minimizing the pressure from Forgg as a result. So Forgg gonna have to sit back. He's gonna have to wait for more siege tanks to come out. Hiya's still way behind though. I kind of want to emphasize that here. He's one base behind. His natural expansion is probably still not very saturated. The Wraith are somewhat minimized because of those Goliaths. It looks like they're still trying to find corners to pick at. They're going to be able to push that barracks back a little bit. And careful. Really, I don't feel like this is a great map for Wraith, just because I don't feel like there's a lot of cliff expansion. But there's not really a lot of cliff territory. Let's see if that SCV pulls off the land to save that barracks quickly enough. But I really don't... yeah, it looks like it's going to be able to get it. I don't feel like there's enough... there's not enough map artifacts, there's not enough high ground and whatnot to really utilize it. And very nice. Hiya trying to sneak an expansion, which he can't really afford to do while maintaining his defense across that front base. And Forgg knows it. He's kind of sensing that Hiya was going to try to sneak that, so he's going to sneak some troops into there at 12 o'clock and force Hiya to either cancel that or bring some troops out of position, which I don't think Hiya is in fact going to do. And additionally, if he can get position on that ramp, it's going to be very difficult for Hiya to reclaim that ground. It looks like the siege tank's getting hit from down beneath. 1/3 mischance not working out. So really lucky right there on Forgg's part, actually, on Hiya's part, that he didn't end up with any mischances there on the high ground. Had he missed one or two of those shots, that might have been devastating, but instead actually hitting with all of those siege tanks. Bit of a wayward siege tank right there for Forgg. So Hiya in a bad position, but not out of this match by any means. It looks like Forgg, feeling confident in the map control that he has, going to take another base in that bottom right, and critically he's going to be able to get that gas. And I'm kind of curious when we're going to start seeing if we're going to just stick to it. Okay, there we go. Looks like we're going to see a dropship on both ends, and beat me to it. I was about to say, I'm kind of wondering when we're finally going to see some of the dropships defensively and offensively, and it looks like instead of sticking to this ground game, which I almost feel like has gone on a little bit longer than I was expecting from at least from Hiya. I expect him to go up to dropship a lot sooner, considering kind of his position. Maybe go for a backdoor drop, although he's been kind of forced into just building siege tanks this entire time just to provide some defense. Another Wraith getting taken out, one Wraith left, down to 36 health. Never mind, last Wraith gets taken out, so no more high ground spottage there from Forgg. Not totally sloppy, but it looks like he is at least going to be able to delay this 12 o'clock expansion while he takes his fourth base. I do believe that 9 o'clock is now pretty well saturated, and taking another base in that upper right-hand corner, and right now he's getting greedy. Couple suicide SCVs coming off the line to break that front door open. Some more siege tanks coming from the right, and I don't know if Hiya comsat it or not, but having really good sense to just break through right now and put some counter pressure on Forgg while he's actually thin on his troop base. A couple mines going in there. It looks like, okay, well, he knew about the 9 o'clock because of the mines that had been planted there earlier, but this is definitely going to help even things out. Forgg is getting way too greedy, planning too many expansions and not keeping his troop production up. As a result, going to end up losing a lot of his SCVs here at the 9 o'clock. He can afford to lose this base, obviously, but he does need to get some more troops out to try to defend and kind of isolate here. Now Hiya has actually regained some map position, so he's going to be able to deal with his... careful, mines. Another mine goes off right there. So he is going to be able to reclaim his 12 o'clock base, should he desire to. And I almost wonder if that should have been expected from Forgg, because Hiya was in a bit of a desperate situation. I almost wonder if that was intelligence triggered, if that was desperation triggered on Hiya's part. It definitely paid off for him either way here. And that's what I was talking about, kind of unpredictable, kind of off-kilter play that definitely caught Forgg off guard. And now Wraith of his own starting to pick away at those tanks on the front door, and just that's actually really nice. I also like the way that Forgg's planted these kind of at the cardinal directions, basically forcing, if Hiya did go for something, he'd have to kind of go an extreme distance with a ground force to do it. Unfortunately for that, Forgg has to assume that he'd have a superior dropship count, or he'd have superior, basically air superiority, which he doesn't have right at this moment. And unfortunately, I think he might have revealed his hand right there, depending on whether Hiya was kind of heads up with that or not. Might have seen those SCVs moving out, and that might give him an indication that, hey, more bases up. And wow, Hiya with a large siege tank force right outside the natural expansion. All those siege tanks getting wiped out with vision, with those Wraith on the corner. Beautiful play, and you can see Forgg's got to be a little bit panicked right now, because Hiya is bearing down on him. He's way overinvested on those corners, I feel like, at this stage. Yes, he's got some additional gas out of it, but yeah, he's really thin, and I don't know that he can really hold the territory right now. What I feel like he needs to do is just pray that Hiya sacrifices, goes for one, takes out one, but leaves the other. Still transferring SCVs to that upper right, still bleeding siege tanks on the north. Finally getting some Goliaths out. But really, I think the critical thing for Forgg right now is he just doesn't have the factories to really turn around and make this economic advantage into a ground troop advantage. And Hiya is still bearing down. It still has troops stationed on his front door. But critically, this entire time, Forgg still has that bottom right, still has that top right. 9 o'clock has been lifted, but Hiya has not taken his 12 o'clock this entire time, and he's almost mained out at his main base. And that's one less gas to work with. He's going to be running deficit not too long. And if Forgg can just hold on, he should be able to just roll him over here in a minute. But Hiya, I got to say, putting up an excellent fight from the back position. But right there, I wish I was seeing more factories there on the opposite end from Forgg. I don't have a really good look at the factory count, unfortunately. A nice suicide pickoff. It looks like he was able to get one of the dropships. More green tea for the voice. Really, the big thing, though, is those dropships in the air. That's going to be the key to defending that top right and bottom right. I guess Forgg earlier to this assumed he wasn't going to need dropships, that he was just going to be able to maintain pressure and kind of that soft seal at the 12 o'clock. Now he's got some SCVs running headlong into vultures and getting absolutely rocked. That's unfortunate for them. It looks like some of them going to escape. Forgg waking up a little bit, apparently. Maybe need some Adderall or something like that. Maybe it's because StarCraft 2's out. Everybody in the house is practicing that. They're figuring they don't have 2 gas at each expansion. A couple things here and there like that. Looks like some mines seeing that dropship go bottom right as well. But a dropship already there to kind of intercept it. Goliath lagging somewhere in between, and it looks like some Goliaths in that dropship itself, so it's going to be difficult to defend. So multi-pronged attack from Hiya. Exactly what he needs to execute at this stage. SCV's coming off the line to try to defend, and yeah, it looks like that was a weird split screen, but you can kind of get an idea of the multitasking happening on both areas here. One Goliath remains, and looks like it's just going to be ignored until that tank comes into play here. Just sitting there doing whatever attack damage it can. Level 1 weapons is upgraded, I think, for both players. I still got to give a sizable advantage to Forgg. Yeah, I feel like he still has an inferior army on the ground, but he has a much superior economy. No, he does not have map control, but at the same time, Hiya has been starved out for quite some time, and that is now going to transition into those dropships. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see enough troops and enough dropships for Forgg to just maintain this lead and kind of ride it all the way. That I got to assume that 9 o'clock base is producing again now for Forgg. I don't know if there's actually enough in these dropships to defend that top right-hand base. Looks like some more troops coming up to try to support here. But this is ridiculous right now, the amount of territory that Forgg is attempting to hold here. He's basically trying to hold 3/4 of the map now. A little less than that because he's not controlling the 1 o'clock position. But yeah, he's essentially trying to defend three-fourths the map and hold that.